guys, it's Brittany. Welcome to my channel, and this is a new series that I'm doing. It's a dedication series, dedication videos to celebrities who have passed away, and today it's a dedication video in memory of Wes Craven, and so here we go. Wes Craven was born August 2nd, 1939, died August 30th, 2015. And here are the movies that he did. The Last House on the Left, The Hills Have Eyes, Stranger in Our House, Deadly Blessing, A Nightmare on Elm Street, The Hills Have Eyes 2, Night Visions, People Under the Stairs, Nightmare Cafe, Music of the Heart, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warrior, Scream, Scream 2, Scream 3, and Scream 4. And here are these facts on Wes Craven. Let me get to there. Okay, so here we go. I have it right here. His vision of Freddy Krueger came from a childhood memory. When he was 10 years old, he looked out the window of the apartment he lived in, and a drunk man dressed similar to Freddy was looking directly at him and continued to stay there looking at the window for several minutes. This scared him, so later on he decided this will be the look for Freddy. So I think, as you can tell, that with this drunk man dressed similar to Freddy Krueger, that was at the time at 10 years old he was scared by it, but later on he was inspired by it, and that's how he came up with this horror villain for this new movie he did for Nightmare on Elm Street, which is Freddy Krueger. So yeah, wow, yeah, that's a very interesting fact. 2, he was a disc jockey for the campus radio station at Clarkson College, where he was a humanities professor. Wow. 3, he had English and German how do you say that? Ancestry? I'm sure that's how you say that, but wow. Who'd have known that? Maybe fans out there. I don't know, but yeah, that's interesting. 4, Craven studied English and psychology as an undergrad and earned master's degrees in philosophy and writing. 5, The Last House on the Left and The Hills Have Eyes hit off the box office, and Wes Craven's directing career success. Well, I think from both of those movies, that not only hit the box office, but his directing career really took off well, really well. 6, A Nightmare on Elm Street was based on true events. Craven created his tamed no turned his horror franchise from newspaper stories in the 1970s detailing Cambodian refugees who had witnessed the American bombing of Cambodia. These men had nightmares and refused to sleep. Many of them ended up dying when they did no when they did finally fall asleep. The mysterious syndrome became that inspired Wes Craven to make a horror movie success. Some would say his best franchise is Scream. Now, I know maybe a lot of Wes Craven fans out there would probably say that A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise is the best, and that Scream is probably okay, but not as good. And some might say Scream is way better than A Nightmare on Elm Street. To be honest, I've only seen the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street, and I know it. I know for those who may be upset about that, I'm sorry, but that's the only one that I've seen is the remake, and I know I haven't seen the very first one that Wes Craven did, and the other rest of A Nightmare on Elm Street. But believe me, if only they were available to watch, like if the whole franchise was available to watch Netflix or on Hulu, believe me, I would definitely watch them. But don't get mad if I just watched the remake, because that was years ago. But believe me, I will watch those ones just because out of my curiosity, just because I want to see how the story develops from the first one into the rest of the movies. So believe me, when I when there are when they are available to watch, then yes, I will watch them. Craven's first start was making porn films to make money, and later went on to make cinema horror films. Now, reading that fact, it was, quite shocking, because I did not know that before making these successful horror movies that he did, I did not know he even made porn movies at the time. But to be honest, I've read that the reason why he did that is just so because he could make money off of this, and well, to make money off of those movies, so that way he could start doing his career, directing career to make horror movies. So that's why he did that. He was an avid bird watcher, and yeah, I've noticed that because well, before he died, I was following him on Instagram, and yeah, I would see he would post pictures of birds, which is quite nice. And so yeah, I think for those who are both bird watchers, which he was too, I think that's great. I think that's like a fun activity to do, just watching birds. Yeah. 10 Wes Craven's successful horror movie franchises are A Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream. Now, it's like I said before, I never seen the whole A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, neither of them, only the remake. But like I said, I will watch those movies when I can, but I would have to say, yeah, I love Scream. Well, the franchise, yeah. Hang on, here. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Um, yeah, those are the movies that he did, and those are the facts about him. And right now it's time for me to share a memory of Wes Craven. So my very first memory of Wes Craven is that it was years ago. I remember I was like 13 at the time. And so, me and my sister, we were both at home, um, both at home after school, and our mom, she was working at the time, so since she was working and we were the only ones at the apartment that we used to live in Temecula, um, was that, yeah, like I said, after school, well, one day after school we were home, she was working, and um, we were like in the front living room. We were trying to find something to watch, just anything. And so, as we were looking through on the guide, on the TV guide, we had cable at the time, and so as we were looking on the guide, I see this movie title on the guide, and it says Scream, and I'm like, Scream. And I remember thinking, okay, so what is it exactly about? Because of course I had this funny picture in my head that maybe a bunch of people are just screaming, but somehow I'm like, no, like I don't think so. And somehow I thought, okay, I have a feeling this is a horror movie here. And somehow I thought, you know what, I really want to see it. I want to check it out just to see what this movie is about. And so, yeah, that's what we did. We watched Scream for the first time, and yeah, I was just still in middle school at the time when we first saw it, and so we were watching it for the first time. It was starting at the very beginning, and yeah, so far the beginning was going good, and then, of course, when it comes to that part where she keeps getting these calls, and then that happens is where it gets into something more scary, and it's like, wow. And believe me, watching Scream for the first time, um, back then, I was so scared of Ghostface. And believe me, I still am, because I have to say, if anyone would dress up in a Ghostface costume and they would come up to me, whether they walk towards me or behind me, and I turn around and see them wearing a Ghostface costume with a mask, believe me, I would be so scared. Like, no, 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 get away. But yeah, I'm still afraid of Ghostface, though, because he's creepy because of the mask and the costume and the voice, So, so scary. And so, watching him for the first time, I would have to say, even though I was so scared because of Ghostface, because of how he would kill, the his victims, and how scary he sounded of his voice, I would have to say, just watching it the first time, I would have to say I actually really liked it, just because it wasn't all just like gore, you know, like, yeah, the movie, I would have to say the movie focuses on, like, not just the killer, like, it's not just gory, because it's not that, you don't see that, like, a lot, but of course you see these characters, and all that, which is really good. It does have humor in it. It does have these characters, connecting with each other, like, as friends, or could be more than friends, or it could be like enemies, So that is just so interesting. So I remember even watching the ending of Scream. That just completely shocked me, because I really just suspected, Billy, but somehow I also suspected Stu as well. But when it turns out that they were both the killers, in the movie, yeah, I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, like, so this isn't just one person, like, it could be anybody. So I think that's what got me very shocked about it and scared by that, because I was like, wow. And I remember thinking, like, this movie's really good. Like, it's not just scary, but it's also funny. Like, you can enjoy it, So, yeah. And yes, I have seen the other Scream movies, 2, 3, and 4, which I gotta say, the Scream franchise is just my favorite because, like I said, it's not just about one thing in particular. Like, you got these different things going on in the movies as well, and that's what I love about it. So, yeah, I would have to say, because I love the Scream franchise and because Wes Craven directed those movies and all that, yeah, that was my very first memory of Wes Craven, is watching Scream the first time when I was 13, and somehow just by watching it I end up really liking it, and just watching the rest, like the second, the third, and the fourth didn't came out till 2011. But still, it's like somehow it's like the more I watched it at the time, like one, two, and three, I remember not just liking it but loving it, because it was just so different from other movies. It was so different from Halloween, um, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. It was just so different from that, because with those ones you do got the same killer, and yes, to be honest, yes, even pretty much the same person can be just as scary. But even with the Scream franchise, since there are different people that you may or may not suspect at first, and it turns out to be that character, then yeah, that is like quite shocking. It does become a huge shocker. So yeah, I think that's why I love those movies, because it's just so different from anything that I've seen. And so yeah, I'd have to say I've never seen any movies of Wes Craven's, after that, but um, I do want to watch at least, some of his movies that he did, especially the very first movie he did of A Nightmare on Elm Street, because I haven't seen that one. But yes, so that's my first memory of Wes Craven, is watching Scream the first time. So yes, yeah, I do want to watch the rest of his movies that he did. And so that's all for this video. If you are if you are a fan of Wes Craven and his movies that he did, um, give this video a like and leave an comment below on what your favorite movie is. Like, your favorite Wes Craven movie. Is it A Nightmare on Elm Street? Is it Scream? Or is it The Hills Have Eyes? Tell me in the comments below. That's all for today, and I'll see you at the movies.